Okay, so now it's the next day. It is December 16th of 2024. Before I wash these jars, okay, we're going to talk about the canning process when it comes to taking them out of the canner, okay? Because one jar did not seal, but that is, I don't want to say it's to be expected, but because of the type of sauce that we were dealing with the amount of maybe grease that was in it in just general, right? Because you're dealing with the pork and not so much with the beef, but definitely with the pork, right? When you have it in the canner, I mentioned this last night. I'm converting over that video. I guess this is part 3 of this video series when it comes to canning chili. Took a while to do it, but we're working on it. All right. Okay, you put it into the canner, you do your whatever, okay? So now your time is up, you turn off the stove, and then you have to wait for this little thing. Why it's sticking up, I don't know. Oh, here we go. This little thing to drop, okay? When this drops, that tells you that the pressure in the canner is neutralized, right? So technically, the minute that drops, technically, you could crank it open and open it without it exploding, all right? However, if you take off the lid or loosen the lid too soon, without giving more time for the pressure to stabilize within the canner as it's cooling, oh my God, you stupid cat. Get out of there now. I do. Mickey. I never had problems with Mickey. You know, I've had her for 14 freaking years. And now that she's old, she's such a bloody pest. Anyway, always getting up and things. Anyway, if this was full of just liquid, right? And you took it out, you cracked it too soon, the lid, right? And you let the pressure just go. What's going on inside the jar is like a vortex. It goes okay? Even though technically there's no pressure in the canner because that dropped, right? So it's, in my advice, I guess, it's my opinion, I don't know. My opinion is to give it a little more time to stabilize within the canner so that the jars are not under pressure to react to the temperature change and just the overall gravity within the canner itself once you crank the lid, right? So that this process is not enhanced in order to make it happen faster. Because as soon as you crank the lid, even if you give it a few minutes and then take off the lid, you know, you'll hear it that something is sizzling and wanting to, right? Whereas if you leave it for a little longer, I don't know, you know, like half an hour maybe. What I'm trying to say is, it was late last night. We know that. I was tired, right? I don't like leaving these in the jar, I'm sorry, in the canner all night after turning off the burner and then running to go sleep because I've done a 12-hour day, for example. And I'll open them up in the morning and take them out. Sometimes that's not a good idea because even then, some of your jars won't seal. So there's a fine balance in there. I think this is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think that you can ever really get perfect at that fine balance in terms of fine-tuning the exact moment when it's the right time to take out these jars from the counter. But this is something you have to really work on over the, period of time to, I don't know, because I think last night I was being hasty. Haste makes waste. I knew to let it sit for an extra half an hour before I cranked it, and then, you know, let it sit for another 5-10 minutes before I kind of move the lid. It's one thing cranking the canner, the lid canner. I'll show you. Okay? I have to still clean this. I gotta clean the jars and get ready for the next session. Okay, so you got your lid on, right? This is dropped. Okay? It only dropped maybe 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. So that tells me I can go like this. But if you do it too soon, that vortex, it's kind of like an energy boost. You kind of speed up that process if you do it too soon. Okay? If you crank it and then immediately go like that, oh my God, you're just asking for trouble, trust me. I think so. Because now you've introduced ambient air into an extremely hot environment that's been contained, and whatever is going on in this jar, because it's still doing that, okay? It will still do that for a while. You have to give it time to slow down, because if you speed it up, that's just going to push out more shit, which is going to make it harder for your jar to seal. Okay? And ideally, if you put 7 jars into the canner, you want 7 jars to seal. Right? So you don't want to compromise the sealing process by inundating it with food particles, with or without grease. Okay? I'm just saying. So, last night, I was tired, I was done. I let it sit for, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I said, to heck with it. You know, I got a busy day today, just whatever, right? So I cranked it, okay? And then I knew better. In my mind, I'm like, okay, you've done this enough times, you know, just leave it for 15, 20 minutes, even up to a half an hour. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I just want to go to sleep. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I think I'm just going to take them out fast. Well, as soon as I opened up the canner, I could hear one jar something was going on with it. And sometimes when you grab your jars, that's another thing. You got to be careful when you're using these things. Okay? Because, again, right? It's cooking. It's just, right? You'll see the bubbles and it's building up and then, right? All right? So when you grab these things, you want to make sure it's under the rim. Do you see that? Because sometimes, you know, you're grabbing and what happens is, do you see how the tongs are hugging the lid? The rim, right? They're hugging it. Even though you got it at the bottom of the this part in here, under the glass lip, it's still pushing pressure on this. Well, that can break a seal as well. Oh my God, what was that? I just heard something. Oh, maybe I popped this lid. That was weird. I don't know. Okay, all I'm saying is you got to be careful, because when you're pulling them out of the jar, and these jars are heavy because of the food inside of them, right? And you know, these tongs, they put pressure on the lid. So that's why they say, when you take them out, right? When you take out your jars, try and take them out straight, and then just move them and put them straight down. Don't be doing all this crap if you can avoid it, because if you put pressure on the rim as it's coming out of the canner, it's going to compromise your seal, and it's going to leak out more, and you get siphoning. But the siphoning comes more from taking your jars out too soon, even though your safety gadget here says it's okay to open your pressure canner. No, I'd highly recommend experimenting with leaving it locked, untouched, after this drops, for at least 30 minutes. At least 30 minutes. And when you're ready to start opening up your canner, unlock it, but don't introduce air into it. And again, leave it for another 15, 20 minutes, maybe even up to an hour. Okay? Give yourself an hour to eventually get your jars out. And then what happens is whatever's bubbling and cooking and doing whatever, you know, it's going to slowly but surely slow down. Versus if you open up this too fast, whoosh, 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 right? And you might be more successful to make sure that all your jars are sealed. Now, it leaked out. I can feel it. Every jar, I can feel it. Something leaked out from every jar. Okay? And that was a 1-inch headspace. So the next time, you can see it, the paper, I put it on paper towel, you can see it stuck on there, right? The next time, one jar didn't seal, so it's in the fridge. The next time I do this, which will be today, right? I'm going to give it a 1 1.25 inch. 1.25 inch headspace. Will it make much of a difference? Probably not, but that little extra 1/4 inch just might be enough. I'm going to make sure, because I'm starting early, right? As soon as I wash these jars, I'm going to put them over there. I'm going to wash new jars, and I'm going to cook up and wash this, get ready, and I'm going to cook, okay? I'm going to do another can, and then whatever's left will be done tomorrow in terms of the chicken stock and that type of stuff. Okay? So, now, this is because so much food came out as it was being whatever. The lid itself, the rim, right? The rim. You can't, you'd have to crank it. Don't do that. What you do is, because if you do that, you're going to break your seal. You're going to compromise your seal. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to take this jar to your sink where there's once, you know, you have warm, lukewarm, little, it's between a lukewarm and a warm, on the more warm side. And you take a cloth and you just start, right? With the cloth, okay, you know? And then you take the water from the cloth, you can turn your jar a bit, and just start saturating this with water, okay? It's not long before you'll be able to finger tight it off. Where here I'd have to crank it off. No, you don't want to crank it off, okay? You just want to put it, start washing it, water, just whatever, you can just water. It's going to soften up whatever's going on in there, and then your lid will just, your rim will just gently start to screw off, okay? After you've done that, wash. For stuff like this, I take a toothbrush, I wash in the grooves, whatever, and then when I'm rinsing, the rim, the lid of the rim of the lid, the rim of the lid, okay, this is canned. Do you see? Do you see underneath here? I like to have that run under lukewarm water after I've washed everything. Maybe take a toothbrush in here, especially for that kind of stuff that tends to spew out food particles. And then as it's running under the water, I take my nail, okay, wherever I can find one, because they break on me all the time, right? Because I'm always in the kitchen. Here's one. And I just gently run my finger in here as it's under the water. Where we go? Here we go. As it's under the water, I just take my finger gently to remove any food particles that might be underneath there. Right? All the way. Because this part I can put my fingernail more in, with this part not so much. Doesn't matter. Just, you want to make sure they're gone. Wash them away. And sometimes you have to dislodge things. Okay? And then after that, just put them on the counter and let them dry. And then of course they always say give it 28 or 24 up to 48 hours, a couple, 2-3 days anyway, 72 hours, 4 days, and monitor them, because they might not pop until a couple of days from now. I'm just saying. And even when you put them in long-term food storage, they can still pop. Obviously, the colder the better the storage, right? So, these ones, I'd put lower down to the ground, preferably closer to the north wall, in a cooler room, which would be my bedroom, at some point when I get in there and reorganize what I'm going to be doing in there. And you should have no problems for a very, very, very long time, if ever, in terms of the jar popping. Okay? Okay. So now I'm going to wash these. Wash some new jars. Wash the canner. Wash these. Wash some new jars. Can whatever's left for the most part with this stuff. And then work on the chicken stock tomorrow. It's going to take me a little while longer to figure out the calorie count to the best of my ability. So I'll work on that over the next few days, and we'll see what comes with that. So hold on. Okay, so December 17th of 2024. So everything's cold. I just brought it out of the fridge. Cold, cold, cold. So what I'm going to do, because, you know, I don't know how much broth I'm going to need for this. And I guess my neighbor is going to give me a little bit of something, chicken soup that she made, or something she made to do with chicken. But it just needs more broth. And I said, well, I have broth. So I don't know. She said a half a gallon. Whatever that means. So I don't know. This chicken, I'm just going to put cold in a jar with the broth in the jar. First I'm going to do the chili. And I've got one jar that didn't seal in the fridge, so Andre and I will eat that later, and I'm going to give a little bit to Amari. He's going to get some meatballs, some beans, some corn. He's going to get the chili all grounded up, but I'm going to have to put in maybe more baked beans, which last night he had salmon with baked beans yesterday from the can. But I'll have to add a little more extra baked beans or something, or maybe carrot. Maybe I'll cook up some carrot. That's carrot, yeah. And I'll grind more carrot into Amari's, because I don't think he'd. I don't know. I suppose I could give him a little taste. I mean, it's not that spicy. One pot was more spicy than the other one, right? And this isn't really that spicy. So actually, I could grind up. It is as is, probably. And if I had to, I could add in a bit of carrot. Hold on. Okay, so I guess in this situation, excuse me, I'm glad that I did I guess you could say, chicken bone broth, right? However, if I'm going to do chicken bone broth, with the clock ticking when it comes to my eyes, you know how it goes. I think I would just like to use a whole bird. The broth itself just tastes so much better. Alright, besides that point, I'm glad I did it, because as you can see, we've got 2 jars with miscellaneous chicken, 4 legs with backs attached, in terms of the meat taken off of that. Whatever little bit, you know, it wasn't much, right? Actually, you don't forget to feed those cats that stuff that I got for them from the chicken. Hold on a minute. Okay. December 18th of 2024. This is picture number 1. This is the standard of what we've been shown on average in terms of something in the sky. Alright. Now, needless to say, my eyes are getting worse. Obviously, the more computer work I do, the worse things get. But then, even if I wasn't doing computer work, I'm just moving that a little bit out of the way. Alright? My eyes would still get worse, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just bring this down. I have to remember remember to do these things so we can see better. Now I haven't zoomed in and made things larger. I haven't cropped nothing. This is exactly what was brought off the internet in terms of copy and paste. Okay, now we're just going to start changing the darkness. Alright, we want to get into those blues. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, really dark. So what we'll do is we'll go halfway. And then we're going to go into bright areas, start switching it to the left, see what pops up. Okay, this is where I have to kind of bring in the camera. It doesn't look too defined now, does it? Alright, so where are we with this? Right at the very end, it looks like. Yeah, I'm going back now. You can see it coming back. Okay, we're going to stop there. Then we're going to go into mid-tone, if I can find it. It's in the center. Oh, maybe I was moving the wrong one. I don't know. It's a hit and miss, unless, of course, you know exactly what you're looking at and how you're doing it. Currently, this all just looks like blurbs of light, don't you think? There we go. So what are we looking at? What are we looking at? What do you think that is? Well, if I had to say what that was, people, I'd say that's energy. What else would it be? Do you see what's going on there? It's some sort of energy. Heat waves. Energy heat waves. Light spectrums. Alright. It's too sporadic. Alright, it's too dispersed. Has no pattern. Okay. Now, if we were to... I don't know if I can zoom in this situation. I'd have to, you know what? I'd have to save this picture. This is one you want to save. And then you take it up, you open up a new one, and then you zoom in, and then you crop. Now, is this the metal reflection, maybe? What do you think? I'm not going to save it yet. We're still just going to move things around. Although, sometimes when you move it, you lose it, and then it's very, very hard to find it again. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to stay there for a minute, right there. Nothing really looks uniform. Nope. So I don't know what I was moving around there, but let's go back up to dark. Dark is in the middle. Let's see what dark does. Oops, something changed. I didn't even see it happen. Looks very unusual, don't you think? Oh boy, I wish I could see better now, but I can't. completely dark. So we're going to go completely dark, and then we're going to go to the bright area all the way and see what we get. There we go. There you go. So you go completely dark, and then you go completely bright, and then you get into your blues and different colors, okay? At least with this program. Do you see what's going on here? Now we're getting into our pinks and purples. Do you see what's going on here? Now that I'm thinking about it, I was listening to somebody talk about radar and how they use reflection people, to operate their radar systems in terms of tracking, because it's a reflection. It bounces off, right? Whatever. Okay, so they're saying that these things fall under the radar. Do they all do? I don't know. But, and it had something to do, I think it was Canadian Prepper who was talking about that. Okay, if you notice, still blood, here's your circles, right? Okay. So that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So are we looking at a saucer type vehicle? Right. I don't know. But it's irradiating something. But not so much a reflection. Because the radar systems can't necessarily pick them up. Alright. Now, when they show this to you, how many, where am I going, which way? I don't know. Okay, let's start going all the way the opposite direction, see what happens. There we go, we're coming into something different. It's almost like a scrambler. You know how they have scramblers to scramble frequencies so that your transmissions get disrupted through that scrambling process, right? That's what it kind of makes me think of. Something is scrambling, right? And that's probably why they can't pick it up with radar. But this is too uniform. There's that's the only thing, this right here, which is uniform with everything else that we're seeing. But when you see it with what they show you, it's only 1 or 2 or maybe 3 lights that are predominant. But when you go behind the scenes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which this one is curling, and that's why it's not in a straight line. Okay, so this is probably 1 unit. Now, I've been hearing that these things like to swarm 8 at a time. That's been quote unquote documented. Okay. I'm sure they can do more than 8. If they can do 8, they can do more than 8 in terms of a swarm. as an individual unit. However, just by the way this thing is put together, it doesn't look like it's an independent unit per unit. I don't think this is independent in terms of this is its own little spaceship, this is its own little spaceship, so on. No, because if that was the case, it would be over here, one might be over there. Okay, in terms of a swarm, okay, swarms aren't fixated in a line, basically, just by the nature of it being called a swarm. This is an alignment to something else. Okay? Now, these lights could be the reason why the radar isn't picking them up, because it's putting out a certain kind of, this is just my opinion, right? They're putting out a certain kind of light spectrum that when it hits something else, it reflects different than other lights would do, or metals, right? Only certain things reflect things, right? Yeah. This is not a swarm. It couldn't be. And if it is a swarm, in terms of being managed by somebody else in an office on a computer, I mean, this is precision. It's just too made into the design, right, for it not to be a whole craft. That's what I'm trying to say. Unless, of course, one of these things can fly off and be independent as a single unit. If that can't happen or won't happen, then what we're looking at is a single unit. Okay? Although when they're reporting on it on the news or the internet or wherever, you're not seeing all of these. Or if you are, you're not seeing them in the context that they're put together where exposure is showing you that. Clearly, something is being scrambled in here somehow, some way, so that the radar system isn't picking it up. Right? Okay. We're just investigating this. Yeah, see what we can find. Okay, so I don't know what I was doing there. What was I doing? I went, where am I? Oh, I wish I could see better and not waste your time, but people, come on. I'm doing the best I can. Alright. Now I've got my lights on all over the place, so... Alright, let's just... What are we doing? We're going darker. Yeah, do you see what's happening? Now we're gonna go brighter. Okay. You can see how far whatever this thing is radiating, okay, which I think is an energy source of some kind that illuminates some sort of light spectrum on different levels. Okay, now whether that's a reflection from these lights backdrafting onto a metal of sorts that reflect a different kind of light to deflect radar systems, or whether this is pure energy being used to scramble, I guess maybe the radar system as to what's behind this and this in terms of the core chip that runs the program as a whole. Because in my mind, I don't see these as being independent units that have somehow come together to swarm versus one big unit to control the narrative without telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay? And that's why I do what I do, because this helps to bring the truth to the surface in my mind. at least for me. All right. Okay, so now we're going to leave it there, and now we're going to go into mid-tone, and we're going to just move that around for a minute. Okay, and see what we get. Looks like it's going brighter, but sometimes you have to go all the way, and then it just switches into a whole brand new color. Okay, so before we quit, we'll just keep going and see what we get. Doesn't look like anything. Where is that? Here's that mouse. Nope. Okay, so we'll go back, and we'll just come into a little bit of something. Here it is. Okay, it's coming now. Do you see? Still no denying it, though. Where's my finger? There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as it's turning. Okay. Now, and they do have crafts like that, people. So nobody can be surprised. We're dealing with deviant individuals that perpetrate themselves to be human when in fact there's something biologically wrong with them. And they just won't ever fit in, and they freaking know it, and that's why they do what they do. I'm just saying. So now we're going to go into dark areas, and we're going to take the, wherever it is, it went back into the center. Oops. Alright, it's that sensitive sometimes. Now I'm on dark. Okay, do you see? That's almost like a straight line, except for the one on the, looking at the screen on the right hand side, which is an indication that it's curving. Alright, we're just going all the way to the end. I just gotta be careful I don't lose the mouse. Okay, that didn't do nothing. So we're gonna go back to mid-tone. We're just gonna leave darkness there. Okay, do you see the light coming in? You don't see it. Yeah, you can see, I can see differently through the lens, screen of the camcord than what I can see on the screen. Although, if I bring this in, you can see it's starting to come in. I don't know what that is. Where am I? Do you see how long this shit takes? A long time. And we're only on picture number 1. Now, where did I go with this? I'm on mid-tone going. Am I on mid-tone? Let's go back. Okay. So you can see, is that all reflection? Or is that energy of some kind? Think of, a plasma ball. Kind of like a plasma ball, where the energy, you can see it, but it bounces back because of the glass, right? But outside of that, the only thing that's really inside the plasma ball is energy. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it bounce off the ball. Well, that's kind of how I'm thinking about this. It's scrambled energy that's encased in something that, I don't know, because there's nothing there to indicate that there's solid mass, I guess you could say, outside of these light spectrums, these. The only thing solid are these things. Well, everything else seems to be scrambled. Okay. I I think we're still on mid-tone. Come on, come on, come on. Oh boy. You go off on your own world with this. Okay, so why don't we just leave it there? You can kind of see it popping its ugly head out, right? Okay, do you see nothing is really, there's no rhyme or reason around it. So now we're gonna go into brighter. It's just hard for me to see those little arrows. Oops, see, as soon as I catch on to the arrow, look what happened now. What is this? What is that? See, this is a situation where you want to save the picture, go in, zoom in, and crop it, and then take it to exposure again, because you might be surprised to see little motherboards in there. I'm serious, like, these guys are crooked. They hide this shit in the strangest places, right? Like coroner's hair, for crying out loud. Like, come on, man, who does that? No, that is uniform. That looks pretty damn near like a square. But again, this is picture number 1, so I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape over it. Okay, now we're gonna go into dark, and we're gonna see what we can find. Why don't we just... See? Center point with the light radiating. Each one has their own center point. This one you don't really see it. Here you can see it. This one you don't see it. Here you can see it. Here you can see it. In terms of 2 different colors. Yeah. What we need to do is go back. Okay, so why don't we go back down to bright? You have to catch it. We'll just keep, yeah. See, now we're getting into some different colors here. Okay. If you notice, you can kind of see, well, to me it looks kind of green. Maybe a very light blue, but definitely a different color. Right, it's kind of just all blended in. This one here is still sitting down there like that. Alright. That's all the way to bright. Okay, let's go back to dark. Where are you? Right over here. And we'll go. I want to find those blues again. You see how hard it is sometimes to find these things? Oh boy. You have to kind of do it when they're just... just flip. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. It's too bright. Where's bright? Oh my lord. This is gonna fry my eyes so bad, people. It's so hard on my eyes, you don't even know. Okay, these things should not be moving on their own. Here we go. Come on, just stay still. It's not what I want. Where is the, this is why I say Project Bluebeam. Maybe. Could be. Nothing new under the sun. It wouldn't be the first time. Right. Okay, we're going to go back into mid-tone. See what we get. If we go to the right, things are just blurring in together. I'll go the opposite direction. You see what's going on there, right? You see what's going on there, right? So could radar pick up lights? Or are they looking for, now it looks different. See, now, when you're looking at it this way, people, this is the density within density. So in other words, the first layer of my skin is the outside layer. Then we know there's a second layer, and under the second layer is the third layer. So if you get like a 3rd-degree burn, that's the worst, compared to a 1st degree, which is the first layer. And then after the 3rd layer of skin, what are you getting into? Muscles and tissue, and then you get bone. Each layer produces its own color in relation to density. Black, you're getting even deeper into it. Okay? But if you notice, you got a ring here. Red, white, blue, and then of course it's going to go black. Right? You can see that. This one. This one stays. Whatever it is, it stays. Only because we brought it to this state does it look like this now. Otherwise it would be that little white. Or is it? Yeah, it's this one. Where's my finger? This one. Yeah. And because they're all in a line, that's not swarming. That's being done on purpose. Okay? And I highly doubt that somebody in a control room could keep them like that for any length of time through a computer with, orders or like to be programmed to do that. Something has to be connecting them. So if this thing was in movement when the picture was taken, you could almost say that would be normal as a leftover of energy. When something moves, right, it takes a little while for things in the back to catch up. Oh, that might be what that is. All right. Oh, okay, so where are we? We're working with midtones. Okay, so now we're going to go back to dark. If I can find the little... There it is. Okay. Now... no, let's just go... if you notice, that's all you see. You see what's going on there? Do you see what's going on there? It's almost like this was done on purpose. It's like a pattern. Alright? And maybe the reason you don't see this one in between these two is because this one is already curling. That's my opinion. Yeah. And then when you go one way and you try and get back what you had, oh yeah, you don't necessarily get it back. This stuff is so sensitive. Okay, now, look, talk about a pattern. So I would say so. I say we're looking at a pattern here, okay? If you notice the light hue blue with the dark blue in the center, and then here we've just got the light hue of blue. Here we've got the light hue of blue with the dark blue in the center. Here we've got the light blue, right? That's all it is. So it's a pattern. It's already establishing a pattern, if you notice, okay? And again, the reason you don't see this one in between here necessarily is because whatever we're looking at is probably a, what is it called, a sphere? Like it's like in a shape of a circle. So I don't want to say flying saucer, but it could be. Or at least it's made to maybe represent one. Although people are saying it's a drone instead. Unless, of course, the drone was designed this way. Alright? But I would say there's definitely a pattern there based on this one picture. Okay, it's only one picture, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. So now we're going the other way with the bright. And in comes the clowns. Alright, with just a whole lot of sporadic, scrambled, in my opinion, energy, which reminds me of a plasma ball gone nuts. Okay? Hold on a minute. Okay, so as we do this now, right, just mucking around. Anyway, I came across this one here. Clearly these are the lights. You can see, right? Okay. The three big ones, okay? And then we've got a little one in the middle and a little... Okay, the point is, if you notice your blue spectrum's just on the outside of whatever is now dark, okay? Although we know we've got a string of orbs, lights, some kind of a lighting system strung in a row, okay, that tend to curl on the edge of whatever it is that we're looking at. And the main body, under different exposure, looks extremely scrambled in terms of energy, right? Again, think of a plasma ball. And as a matter of fact, I've got one and I'll plug it in and we should look at it. Usually with a plasma ball, the energy follows a line, right? They have individual lines and they just follow like an electrical cord, where what we were looking at looked more scrambled. But now, because we've got it at this level of exposure, what's being scrambled more so now is on the outside, because you can see the red. Okay? So whatever is scrambling on the inside is scrambling on the outside and giving it a protective layer of some sort, where the predominant color in this case would be red, as to what the signature is in terms of the, you know, the logistics around this kind of stuff. I don't know. I just know that it's a different density. And here you've got a little bit of blue, 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 and so on, right? Just on the outskirts, where here you get into your deeper reds, which could be another means for them to go undetected through supposed radar. But then, you know, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, just because they tell us, oh, you know, they don't follow through on the radar, doesn't mean that they don't know what it is, because clearly they're not telling us the whole truth and nothing but the truth, right? I'm just saying. Alright, I don't know what I was moving. I was just moving something, because I wait until I can, because sometimes this, like I said, this stuff is so sensitive that it jumps, and then you go looking for what you had and you can't necessarily find it again unless you keep going and doing it over and over, and then you might come across it, like with that orifice plug. It might take me a while to go find that orifice plug fresh, with a fresh picture of Chimay. But it's just a matter of time before I can find it, people, because I've already found it way stuck in the back of her throat with no teeth. Okay, and that's the whole point of this exercise here. Alright, I'm just saying. So if you decide to do something like this, don't give up. There, yeah, see, I go to catch, and it just changes. See, there's no denying it. That's not a swarm. That's a design. And it's emulating light spectrums that oops. Hang on, baby. Okay. What are we looking at now? It all looks very sporadic, which tells me this thing is, I don't know. Unless it's some kind of new metal that they're using. I'd have to take a picture of my pot and put my pot under exposure and see how it reacts in terms of a metal. Steel, but I don't think they use steel as a base metal for flying objects, because it's too heavy, right? Steel is too heavy. It would defeat the purpose, I would think. And this is where you have to become a scientist. Alright. Okay, that one is dark, not doing anything. Let's go back to mid-tone. I don't know. How long do I drag these videos out for, you tell me? How about we just go to the next picture after we find something more interesting, so you can see it's starting to come out. There's your signature main lights with their pattern. Alright. No denying that. Here we go, come on. Now we're gonna just go a little brighter, I guess. I think it's brighter, no, darker. Darker on the bright end. And it should switch over at some point, I would think. Yeah, come on. What's going on? Alright, let's go back to dark areas. Take it to the... come on. Oh, I'm making a big mess out of this one. Let's go back to mid-tone. Oh. Nothing wants to move. Alright, at the very end, now we have to go back to come on, where are you? Nothing wants to move. So I think we figured out what's going on in this picture. Alright, let's go back to mid-tone. Yeah, this is our last attempt on this picture. You see something interesting. Oh boy. Come on, come on, come on, baby. We already seen that. Oops. Okay, you're watching now, right? Do you see? Just previous, we seen the opposite. It was dark on the outside and all red on the outside. It was dark on the inside, black on the inside, and all red and slightly blue on the outside. Now we're the opposite. We see the dark on the outside with the color on the inside, with this color being a greenish haze of some kind that appears to be very sporadic. See, that's sporadic. There is no rhyme or reason to how that is all put together outside of. Where are you? Come on. It's so hard to see the little aerials. Okay, now we're on mid-tone. Let's go back. Let's go all the way. See what it does. Nothing. Now we'll go into dark areas. We're gonna go the opposite direction. Let's go brighter. Let's go darker. Oh, come on. Do you see how hard it is to get the blues though? Oh, I tell you, those blues are really hard. Okay, that's bright. Now we're going to bring back the mid-tone just a little bit and see what we get. Oh, we're back to that. Okay, so maybe what I should do is just go into the next picture. Alright, probably. Oh, Lord. What the heck? I'm just moving these things around. Oops. Oh, there we go. We just seen something. Ah, I got so many pictures to do. As if. Back on mid-tone. Let's go back up to dark. See, you lose it. Okay, hold on. Okay, so it's the end of this picture number 1. We're going to go to auto fix just to see what we get in terms of, it should get pretty close to the original picture. Just as a reminder of what we were looking at prior to what I did. Okay. Alright, so I guess that's the original picture. Pretty damn close anyway. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project. Or open a new picture. Here we go. So now, okay, so I saved one. If I want to backtrack with it, where am I? I have it listed as drone 1A. I saved one picture. Now we're going to go into this picture. Oh, will the real robots please stand up? Here it is. Okay, so we're going to do pretty much the same thing. Where do we start? We'll start with the dark areas first. So here we've got this. Then we've got individual 1, 2, 3, and 4. This must be picture number 2. So we're just gonna go darker to start. Okay, why don't we do that first? This one kind of glows, don't you think? Look how red his face is. Right off the hop. Right off the hop. Okay. Alright. It brought me to the middle of dark. So where's midtone? Let's go this way and let's go right. Let's just see what we got. This one is getting whiter. Brighter areas. Have to find the arrow. So hard for me to see. Oh, it's all in the way. Okay. Going in the opposite direction. Now nobody has a face. All you see is a little bit of blue. A little bit of blue here, and a little bit of blue there. But nothing on the face. Absolutely nothing. That's interesting. Okay, so now that was bright. We're going to leave it there. We're going to go into our dark area, and we're going to go back to the left. Oops. We'll go back right. Oh, come on. So we're dealing with different light spectrums, obviously, as it's being recorded. But only 2 are producing the color blue. Alright. There's your blue. There's your blue again. slightly green. Oops. Okay, so that's all the way that way. Now we're going to take mid-tone, we're going to move it back just slowly. See what we get. So we're coming into more natural colors. Okay, the reason the one top right-hand side looking into the screen, he coming blue is because his jacket is kind of blue. Yeah. Alright, now we're going to go back up to dark, and we're going to go the opposite direction and see what we get. Oh, come on, baby, give us something. Give us something. Now we're going to go down to bright, and we're going to start going back to brighter. It's the only way. I'm not even looking at what I'm talking about. Okay. This one has no color. This one's color is always kind of non-existent, if you notice that. Oh, finally, a little bit came in. This is when you really start to see strange shit. Will the real robot please stand up? Seriously, man. Yep. This is where you want to zoom in, and then start looking for those motherboards. Do you see what's going on there? Yeah. I'd have to zoom in on this picture. Almost, I think so. Question is, how much time do I want to spend on this crap? Anytime you see. You see that? And when you lose it, you lose it. No. So let's pay attention to what we're looking at here. Let's see what we got. Oops. What happened there? You can see something being irradiated. I can see it better through my camera screen than I can see it on the computer screen. But it's there. That scrambled energy, right? Let's see if we can bring it out. We'll go back to dark areas. Oopsie, yeah, no, you lose it. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay, so what I've done is I think I saved this picture in my paint. Drones 2A. Because if you notice, when we're looking at the light in this situation, look what we get. And anytime you start seeing stuff like that, something's been put together. This is what I mean by uniform. Okay? There's too many components to it to make it uniform. Alright, so let's pull up the picture that I just saved. Let's see if we can find that. So why don't we exit out of this for now. Let's see if I can just pull it up in here. Open. We want 2A. This is the one we want. We want this one. Okay, well, it's the same damn picture. What am I doing? No, that's not what I want to do. Let's bring it up in paint. Can we make it larger? What is this? It's Roxio. Where's paint? We want paint. There's paint. Right here. Paint. God, no. Paint, yeah. Okay, so what we want to do, what can we do with paint? Are we really in paint? Doesn't seem like it. Let's zoom in. See, you'd have to crop it, resize it, just the whole 9 yards. Oh my lord. It's hard when you can't see very well either. It's bad enough as it is. Let's see if we can crop it. We got something red over here. It's almost like you want to crop the whole bloody thing. Just crop everything else out of it. Holding this. No, I feel like I'm still on Roxio. Let's just exit out of it, all of it. No, we don't want to save this. What is this? We're still in Roxio. No saving for now. Okay. Let's get into paint and see if we can just pull that up. Let's just use paint for a second. And then we're going to end this video. I think so. I don't want to drag this crap out too long. There's paint. Now we're going to bring up what we just saved. Drones 2A. There it is right there. And then what we want to do is just zoom in. I think I can just zoom with this. I don't use these every day, all day, so I forget. I forget how to use them. Never mind, I'm struggling to see the bloody thing. Well, it looks like you can do exposure on paint, too. Yeah. I want to zoom into it, though. Hold on a minute. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this, people. So I managed to take the paint. I cropped it. I enlarged it by, I guess, 200%. From 100%, I went to 200%, so I suppose I enlarged it by 100%. And this is what I got. Alright. Now, clearly, do you see, this is not sporadic. This is something, I don't know. Alright. Now I suppose we could try and enlarge it one more time just to see what happens. So we'll do it by 50 more, maybe. I don't know. Again, I don't quite remember how I was doing things in the past, because I don't work with these programs all the time, people. I mean, so we're just gonna push OK. There we go. Oh god, see, it went in the opposite direction. Frick. I don't like that when that happens. Do they have an undo? I don't think so. Oh, lordy, lordy. Lordy, 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 lordy. Let's go by 300. Because that's pretty much the original picture after cropping it. So we're going to go 300% larger. Oops, not 3,000. It won't read. It can only go up to 500. Push OK. Yeah, there we go. Now this picture I should save and then maybe take it to exposure. Here you're starting to see other things. Right? You see components within components. You see components within components. That's an independent line in whatever, and this is so uniform. So this is like a motherboard. This reminds me of a motherboard. And there's a fuse. Where's the fuse? See? That's a fuse of some kind. Yeah. Right? Look how defined that is. That looks like it almost has words on it or something. Right. I just wish I could do this faster for you. Can I just grab it and move it? No, I have to move it by its bars. If I can see the bloody things. There we go. See? The line is there, and it's parallel to that one. It's equal. Alright, so let me save this and then bring it up on Roxio. I call it Roxio. And then we'll take this to exposure. Okay, so I did manage to save it in Paint. This is the picture that I took with the camcord. Then I took it to Paint. I resized it, I cropped it, and now I'm taking it to Roxio. Well, yeah, Roxio. And we're going to bring that one up. Okay, you can see I'm having such a problem with my mouse. Alright, there it is right there. Now we're going to take it to exposure. I'm going to move this down this way. Don't forget, we got that sidebar there. I'm just saying. Let's see how far we can bring this down. Alright, now we're just going to go brighter versus darker. We're going to start with bright first, assuming I can get my mouse. Alright, we're just going to go brighter and see what happens. You see what's going on there, right? Do you see that? Now you're getting into your motherboard. How far down did we go? Almost all the way. Alright, so that's right at the end of brighter. Now we're going to go up to, let's do mid-tone. And we'll go to the right and see what happens. If anything happens. Nothing seems to be happening. Where am I? Okay, we're going to go the opposite direction and see if anything happens. Okay. That's just using mid-tone. Do you see what's going on in there? Do you see what's going on? circuit boards. Alright, where am I? Let's go right to the very end. Let's go back a bit and see what comes back. Do you see that? Where are we on dark? Dark areas, we're at the brighter part, so let's go darker and just see what happens. Obviously it's just getting darker and darker, right? But then sometimes these things just flip like that. I went to remove my mouse and it just flipped. Oh boy. Let's just keep going dark. Oh. Okay, so we're all the way dark. We're all the way bright. Let's go darker on bright. Not doing anything. We'll go back to mid-tone. We'll bring it in the middle. So whatever we're looking at here appears to be like a puzzle. Alright. It's put together like a puzzle. It reminds me of that coroner's hair. Yeah. It sure does. It's a motherboard of some kind. Of some kind. Gotta find those blues. It's hard to find blues. I go in the kitchen and my eyes are just wigging after I get off the computer. You don't even know. And don't forget, you know, these different lights, LEDs, fluorescence, incandescence, just the whole 9 yards. They produce different light spectrums. All right. Really no rhyme or reason to it. Whoever built this clearly had too much time on their hands. It's worse than Lego. Right? You could almost say that's a helicopter shape. You could almost say it's a helicopter shape, but I don't think we're looking at a helicopter. I don't think so. Maybe we are. I don't know. because the helicopter has got that little bullet face with its tail, right? Yeah. I don't know. Now, mind you, these things were taken, pictures were taken when these things were more than likely moving around, or at least hovering, which would create some sort of movement. And then, of course, if it's moving, the light would follow it in terms of light speed. Right? Light doesn't move all at one time. It moves. It moves with speed. Anyway. Well, let me turn off the camera, fool around with it, and see if I can come up with something unique. Hold on. Okay, I'm not even going to speculate as to what we're looking at here, other than, I don't know, people. It looks kind of suspicious to me, if you ask me. Like, it's not even uniform. If this was a helicopter, you would think both sides were uniform. Unless, of course, we're looking on the inside of this, whatever, right? And then the outside, and that's why it looks different. But even in shape size, you know, there's nothing is really adding up. And what the hell is this over here? Nice little square. And then we've got this over here. Where is it? Yeah, not too far from it. We've got this one, this one, this one. Right. You can see what's going on in there. Alright. Doing the same stuff over there. Do you see that? I mean, it seems kind of suspicious. There's another one. Way too uniform. There's photoshopping of some kind or something. Who knows? Like, seriously, man. A lot of mind effery. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they definitely let your imagination run wild with these little blobs of light. But I mean, to get really good at something like this, you'd have to know how different metals react to your particular program when it comes to exposing density between the different metals in terms of aluminum, tin, copper, gold, steel, cast iron, iron, titanium, just whatever it is that these people use for their machines, I would think. Right? And how glass would respond. You know? Well, either or, this picture was completely different compared to what we were just looking at. Right? So let's go back to the original picture just to see what it looked like before I did this. So we'll go back into File, Open, and we'll just open up the picture again. Just as a final reminder, this is what they were showing us. Now, mind you, that's not true, because I already zoomed in on it now, didn't I? So, hold on a minute. If you were to look at it, and I had already taken it to exposure. Oh, I gotta remember that.
Let's go back to the original picture where I did not take it to exposure. This is it right here. So we've got the original picture. Where am I? The original picture. Then I took it to exposure. Then I cropped it. And we just went through the walk with more exposure. So this is the one I want to open. This is the one they show you without the exposure. Okay. Do you see? Do you see anything in there that I just showed you? No. Neither do I. I don't see anything. Looks completely different than what I just showed you. Here it is again. Now we got a long way to go. And we know there's a cost for me to pay when I do this in terms of my eyesight. But I think it's important for people to see this kind of stuff and to at least think about it. Right? To at least think about it. And for those that are courageous, to start doing something about it. In terms of beat me at my game, get better at what I do, become an expert. You know? What else do you got to live for? You're fighting for humanity, for crying out loud. There's no shame to being a justice warrior. You know? One that stands up and fights for something.